Here they come, here they come.
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting.
Hello again and welcome to Ducks Unlimited TV. I'm Ashley Ward. Few people watch the weather more carefully than waterfowlers. Last year, we all watched intently as a bomb cyclone hit New England, and the DUTV crew got a first-hand look at this nor'easter while we were hunting sea ducks in Massachusetts. In this episode, you'll get a front row seat to the show from Cape Cod. All next on Ducks Unlimited TV.
There you go.
This trip was a lot of fun for me. I grew up hunting along the Mississippi Flyway. It is just not warm in Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee. And it was such a neat experience to be able to come up here to Cape Cod and hunt the Atlantic Flyway and just to get to see the different kinds of species that migrate here, such as eider and scoter and longtails.
There's been a lot of efforts in this particular region focusing on coastal habitat restoration to be able to improve water quality. And by opening these coastal salt marshes up, it allows for the transitional zones between salt, brackish, back up to freshwater, which are critical to a diversity of wildlife, but it also helps with vegetation reestablishment, provides habitat for mussels and as well as submerged aquatic vegetation. And that also helps improve water quality by filtering nutrients. It captures nutrients and filters it down to the soils.
So being from the South, obviously, I am not used to brutally cold temperatures. And this really kind of tested the waters for me a little bit, just to kind of see how dedicated I was.
It is not for everybody. You have to respect nature, it's just like anywhere else. Down south, folks deal with hurricanes and massive flooding. Up here, we deal with ice and blizzards. It's something that certainly showcases the hardy heritage of New Englanders.
We stepped out of the vehicle that morning, and whenever I walked around the car, the wind just hit me in the face, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's going to be a long morning. There for a while, I could not feel my toes.
I don't know if this makes you warm, but it's, worth a shot. I'm kind of trying to do everything I can to stay warm.
And I know in the boat it probably just looked like a pile of clothes laying in there because you could hardly see my face. But it was such a good time.
See, I can't drink hot coffee when we're out here because I have to go to the bathroom.
I know.
Right?
That's me too.
Otherwise, I would have
There's a lot of layers.
I would have brought a thermos of hot coffee.
I shoot it.
It's kind of hard to shoulder your gun when you've got all these clothes on.
Ho!
Ducks Unlimited Television is presented by Drake Waterfowl Systems, innovators in waterfowl hunting. Mossy Oak Shadow Grass Blades, the official camo of Ducks Unlimited, and Ducks Unlimited's Rescue Our Wetlands campaign, banding together for waterfowl.
They're going to come straight in this way here. Sometimes they'll come at an angle this way or this way, but usually if they come straight in.
I'm used to actually full-size decoys, and these were actually a silhouette type. So they like to face them towards the sun, that way they They're really bright and pretty for the birds to come in and work. Although it is a little challenging for the shooters because whenever the birds would come in, they would want to land directly right in front of the sun. So it kind of blinded you a little bit, but it also made it a lot more challenging. So it was a lot of fun just to see the different ways that these guys do things. Actually, this was not only my first eider hunt, but also Miss Fran's first eider hunt. And it was a lot of fun to be able to share that experience with her. You know, she's from here, but she's never had the opportunity to get out and hunt eiders. So we had one come in to the decoys.
Good shot.
You should.
We did. I think we teamworked that one.
So after we shot the bird, we had to get the anchor real quick because that tide was moving quick. I mean, you're talking about 30 yards in just a matter of seconds. Mr. Danny handed me a dip net.
I've never dip netted a duck before.
He was like, well, dip the duck out.
Look at that. Look how beautiful. Our first eider.
Isn't she a beauty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Fran is a one-of-a-kind lady and DU volunteer. I loved getting to know her.
I grew up spending half of every summer on Cape Cod. We'd take our rowboats out of Witchmere Harbor, which is the local harbor where we live, and we would row down the coast just a couple hundred yards and go up this little marsh area. And back then, I don't think I knew the difference between a duck and a goose. But we would just sneak up on the birds to see how close we could get to them. It was like a game we used to play. And that's where my love of the marshes came from.
That's a neat story.
And when I was 15, Witchmere Harbor was out of room, and Harwichport really needed another harbor. So they decided that they were going to dredge, but they promised that only half of the marsh was going to get destroyed.
What happened to the marsh?
They eventually dredged it all for the harbor. And the little harbor that they were going to put in ended up being a huge harbor full of boats. I can remember thinking, my kids couldn't go and sneak off the way I could and do that because it was gone.
Right.
So I want my grandkids to be able to do things like that. So that's why I'm involved with DU, because it's so important for the future generations.
It is.
And I can't drive by a marsh on the Cape. I just want to be down in it.
Yeah.
And there's just something about them.
And I just think that that is such a rare passion and a rare gift that she looks at every moment and says, I want to go check that out. I've got to really, dig into that.
Sea ducks are fascinating birds and a rare trophy for most waterfowlers. All sea ducks are diving ducks, using their wings and feet to propel themselves anywhere from 10 to 65 feet deep. Long-tailed ducks can go even deeper. They dive to find a variety of food, including everything from marine mollusks to fish. Most of these birds breed in the far north areas like the Arctic and boreal forests of Canada and Alaska. When the weather turns cold, they migrate south and spend the winter along our coasts. Compared to other duck species, we know very little about sea ducks, but we do know that 11 of the 15 species of sea ducks appear to have declining populations within some portion of their range. Among these, the Steller's eider and spectacled eider are listed as threatened. Ducks Unlimited is a partner in the Sea Duck joint venture, which is using a variety of monitoring techniques to learn more about sea ducks and important management strategies to ensure their survival. You can learn more about all of our waterfowl species at ducks.org.
DU Insights is brought to you by Mossy Oak Properties. Find your favorite place at mossyoakproperties.com. DU TV is powered by Black Cloud Ammunition. Drop ducks like rain. Mossy Oak Properties, America's land specialist. Purina Pro Plan, nutrition that performs. And Mossy Oak Bottomland, the official timber pattern of Ducks Unlimited.
The Atlantic flyaway really is a unique flyaway in that we encompass a wide variety of different species that are really much only found in this area. And one of those species that we target a lot of our conservation efforts is the American black duck. So a lot of our efforts are focusing on protecting critical emergent marsh habitat and as well as our coastal saltwater systems. And freshwater is a really important component to black ducks, so making sure we have fresh sources of water that are close to these coastal areas are really important for them as well.
Good shot.
And so it is critically important as well to improving water quality. So by restoring these coastal habitats, we're restoring the vegetation, improving water quality, and allowing for food and resources for waterfowl and other wildlife.
So we came back out here this afternoon. It was a little slow this morning, but the birds are really starting to work this time. We've had a few big groups come in and really work the decoys. So it's been a lot of fun to watch these sea ducks kind of come in. It's a lot different than what I'm used to. So I think the wind's gonna help us out a little bit more this afternoon. So we'll see how it goes.
Listen, listen. Take him! Oh, yes!
Yes.
Way to go, Danny. You deserve like 4 cold beers.
Good thing I'm not wearing a collar.
You've made great retrieves. I wouldn't have shocked you yet.
You know, what does Ducks Unlimited do in our backyard? Well, bluebills are not raised and reared anywhere near Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Take them, take them, take them. Nice shot! The money that they raise and they give that's going to those particular initiatives in the boreal forest region of Western Canada are truly benefiting a species of diving duck that they have in their heart. And that is not in their backyard, that is in Western Canada. If we're not taking care of where those birds are raised and reared, it doesn't matter what type of habitat we have here, because they're just simply not going to make it.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring in my brother Dan. He's my hunting buddy. Dan's not much to look at, but the alarm will go off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and if nobody's in the boat with me, I could roll over and go back to sleep. And the hunting buddy doesn't let you do that. So he keeps me honest. When we get out there, I get my way and he's got his way, and sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't.
To go with a guy like Mike Donnelly is not only a privilege, but it humbles you, because his level of caring, and he's not a guide. He's just he's a man who eats, sleeps, and breathes conservation and Ducks Unlimited, and truly wants to share what he's been blessed with others.
You know, this world's full of takers, and ducks can do nothing but survive from day to day. Take away the habitat, you lose the ducks. My opportunity is just to reinvest in what I love doing. So the grassroots end of Ducks Unlimited is important to me, and giving back what gives me so much enjoyment, I don't know that I have a choice.
Either pre-season or preparing for the hunt, you want to practice as you will play. In other words, put your dogs in hunting type situations before they get to the duck blind and the sun comes up. In this situation, we're in really tight quarters, multiple dogs in the blind. We're going to be doing a thing called a relay called double dog. We've knocked several birds down, hypothetically. We're going to send one dog. As soon as he picks, he starts back, we send the second dog. When that one's returning, diversions are falling, we send another dog. So over and over, we send the dogs back until we make the picks. In other words, we want to get back in the game as fast as possible. So it's great if we can send the dog, make a pick, and then start the other dog out before the first dog gets back. As we're preparing, we're doing more and more handling, having to stop and handle the dogs. They're marking the memories down. Some are getting picked, some are not. But it's getting the dogs accustomed to handling with us and paying no other attention to the other dogs. This is something you're going to see on the hunt, so it's something you want to prepare for before the sun comes up.
Duck Dog with Mike Stewart is presented by Purina Pro Plan, nutrition that performs. DUTV is brought to you by Native Nurseries, hand-selected, hand-grown plants for wildlife. Higdon Outdoors, quality, customer service, innovation. That's Higdon. Biologic, scientifically proven wildlife products. Intelligent firearms storage made by Secure provides closed captioning for DUTV. The gun storage game will never be the same.
One of the things about waterfowl hunting that a lot of people like is it's a group activity. That's great, it's fun, but you have to have one person in charge, and that's especially true when it comes to calling the shot. If you don't, it's chaos. If you do it right, everybody gets better shooting. One of the things I like to do when I call the shot, there's 4 or 5 or 6 of us shooting and we've got 1 or 2 birds come in, rather than just turn everybody loose to blaze away. One person gets the shot, next time I'll call somebody else's name. Sometimes if I haven't got any shooting, I'll call my own name. I'll say, I'm going to shoot this one. Another tip I like, I took this one from Barney Califf, the world duck calling champion. In his blind, he'll always pick one person. He calls him the spotter. And the spotter's job is really simple. If you've got birds working a lot of times, especially with ducks, and one lands, sometimes all the rest of the ducks come. Sometimes that duck takes off and takes all the birds with it. So the spotter's job is to watch that duck, hands on the gun, and if it jumps, no matter what the other ducks are doing while everybody's looking up in the air, he shoots it. That way, at least you get one instead of nothing.
Duck Gun is presented by Black Cloud Ammunition. Drop ducks like rain.
So Tuesday we had a great hunt. The sun was shining, the wind was blowing a little bit, and that's kind of how it always is right before a storm hit. We are right in the middle of Winter Storm Grayson. I mean, guys, I've got to stand like this just to brace myself from the wind. I mean, we're talking major gusts, 60 to 70 miles per hour with a winter mix of sleet and snow. I mean, these gusts are just out of control, guys. They're out of control. As you can see, we're not able to hunt today because of the weather conditions. So we were super hopeful the next day that we were going to be able to get out in it and try it again to hopefully get one more hunt in. But while the snow let up and stopped, the winds were just unbearable again, and actually they put a hold on small craft. So we were a little disappointed that we weren't able to get out and go try to hunt those birds again. But one of the many highlights of this trip is being able to go to the banquet that these awesome volunteers and committee members have put together.
This is the most serious I've been all week. Put your game face on when you got meaty morsels like this.
There are people coming from all over the East Coast to this event.
New England has lots of people. We've all seen those thunderstorm maps of waterfowl in North America in important areas. If you were to do a thunderstorm map of policy and political power and DU membership, this area here in the Completing the Cycle initiative would light up. It'd be flaming red. Here in Massachusetts, we have more congressmen and senators than we do in the 3 key prairie pothole states of North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana. That gives us a lot of potential influence. If we can have an influence on federal legislation, that helps DU increase our conservation mission throughout the country.
I'm a woodworker, and I taught woodworking for a period of time, and making your own decoys when the birds come right on top of your decoy that you carved with your own hands, and the dog that fetched it under your training or in spite of your training, and you were proficient enough to be able to hit it. Putting them in the water and attracting waterfowl it's satisfying, it's gratifying. I was very pleased to see a Cal Kingsmill decoy available to tonight's auction.
The cool thing about this decoy is not only were we able to hunt over it, but now the banquet that we're actually going to attend is going to auction off this decoy that we hunted over.
Beautiful decoy, look forward to it going for lots of money.
We are so excited for tonight because we know that Ducks Unlimited National is going to see what we did tonight. My goal for tonight was 150. I think the stretch goal was 200, and we have over 240 people coming tonight.
They've got people coming from Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. It's a big deal because of the weather that we've just had. I mean, there's ice on the roads, there's snow, but these folks love Ducks Unlimited so much that they're going to do anything they can to come out and support the ducks no matter what.
When I was younger, don't get me wrong, I love to pull the trigger. I don't measure my days and my success in bag limits. I measure my days and success in, was I able to bring somebody out and share that with them who may otherwise not have been able to participate. To me, that is the ultimate trophy. Getting somebody to understand that conservation is about ethical hunting. It's a mindset, it's an activity, it's a way of life. And for people to understand that after they've been brought into the nest, it's extremely rewarding.
Thanks to the Ducks Unlimited volunteers from all over New England for braving the serious weather to raise money for conservation. And on behalf of all of us at Ducks Unlimited, thank you for watching and see you again soon on DUTV.